Hello, this is Demon Phoenix with part 6 of my deathmatch walkthrough, this time covering from levels 21 to about 27 in Kaer, where we picked up last time. So as you can see here, I'm carrying on with the Skellige missions, and this is the Lord of Undvik mission. I've just hit level 22 here, but what I want you to have a look at is you can see I've got the Arachas decoction, which is active there. I want to see how little damage you take, even when you take hits from a pretty heavy hitting boss monster like that. Very little damage indeed. You're also dealing a ton of damage, and that's part of the reason that we've been building up the build like we have, so that we can deal a lot of damage and also not take very much. We've got Rend and Whirl, and you can already see the outlines of the tank build and how it's going to end up. It's already very effective for this stage in the game. So you want to make sure that you are doing the levels when you're within 5 levels of the recommended level. So the Lord of Undvik and quest for Hjalmar and the Possession quest for Ceres are both level 17, and they give you a ton of EXP. Now you can see how quickly he went down there. So you want to make sure you do these by when you're about level 21. Just bear in mind that whichever choice you make for the ruler, I've never actually chosen to support Hjalmar, because if you don't choose to support Ceres, you miss this bit of the game in Kaer, and you actually permanently miss a place of power. You can't get to this one, so if you choose to support Hjalmar, you will lose 1 ability point in your playthrough, and again in New Game Plus if you do that. So I always side with Ceres, it's just something to bear in mind. Now, before we've actually done these, like I say, I had the Arachas decoction whilst I was fighting the ice giant there, and often I wouldn't recommend doing quests at a much higher level or with red skull enemies, because we are on deathmatch and it's just unnecessary because the rewards aren't often worth it. But there is one case where I would say it definitely is worth it, and that is for fighting Ursine. Now Ursine is the venomous Arachne in the Missing Brother side quest, which you can do in Velen, and it's a level 33 quest. So I'm only level 20 here as I attempt it. There are a few things you can do to make this quest a lot easier, and I don't think it's actually that difficult, and the reward far outweighs it. One of those is to have the best Insectoid oil you can get, and to make sure you keep Insectoid oil up, and also to have the best golden Oriole that you can get. So here I've got the superior Insectoid oil and the superior golden Oriole. So I've got the Echidna and Water Hag decoctions, and I apply the superior golden Oriole on top of that. If you make sure you before you fight the boss, you clear out all of the eggs in the cave. That's one of the sub-objectives, is clearing out the 12 eggs with Igni, and that will mean that you fight Ursine by itself instead of fighting it with its little babies. When you're exploring the cave, make sure you have enemy upscaling off as well, so that when you are fighting the babies whilst you're killing the eggs, they're only level 5 instead of being matched to your level. Now this is fighting Ursine, and it is a red skull enemy, it's much higher, but as you can see with the golden Oriole, that stops its poison from being able to hurt you. And if you've got the superior one, like if you've been to Susan, like I recommended in the last video, you could buy the superior oil and make it, and the superior potion, sorry, and that will actually restore your health. Now whilst Ursine is crouched down, you can also hit it with Rend, but if you see in these sections, even when I do take a hit with protective coating and the Ursine armour, we are not taking that much damage. So even though it's such a high level enemy, you can beat it pretty comfortably fighting it one-on-one. Now the thing about beating Ursine is that if you're able to beat him or her, then basically you get, it's the only place in the game you can get the Arachas mutagen, and that is what you need to make the Arachas decoction. The Arachas decoction, as you keep your inventory as empty as possible, and it increases your damage resistance, and that's on top of protective coating and the Ursine gear. So you can see here we get the Arachas mutagen, and that's why we're doing this. It's one fight, and it's not that difficult, especially if you do it at night and you have the superior Tawny owl. And if you're able to beat that and get the Arachas decoction, it makes the rest of the game much easier, even though we're already beating things pretty comfortably. Another thing you can do to make that fight a little bit easier if you wanted is first you can do the quest for fighting the Ancient Leshen, which is one of the Skellige side quests. And basically when you're what you have to do is fight an Ancient Leshen, and that's the In the Heart of the Woods quest you can see there. Again, not that difficult fight if you've bought the superior Northern Wind bomb and made the bought the respite in Tucson and made the superior Northern Wind bomb. It's extremely useful because you can freeze the wolves as well as the Ancient Leshen, and you see here it just dodges around. It's still doing no damage because again protective coating, and it's just an extremely useful setup to be able to reduce the damage. What the Ancient Leshen Decoction is with certain signs, it increases your stamina regeneration each time you use those signs for the remainder of the fight. And the way that you can do it is it works with regular Axii. So even though we don't have the other signs that it works with, you could use the Ancient Leshen Decoction and apply it with the Echidna Decoction when fighting Ursine, and use Axii a few times and it'll make your stamina regeneration higher. So once you've beaten Ursine, you've got the Arachas Decoction. We're set up for the rest of the game, and it makes everything else a lot more manageable. So you can see there, I had the Water Hag Decoction, the Echidna Decoction, and the Arachas Decoction. Now when you reach level 22, which we probably would be doing after finishing Ceres and Hjalmar's quests, you get another ability slot. Now this one opens at level 22 and there are a few options. I'm going to show you a few here. Now we've got Razor Focus, which I only ever put 1 point in at the start, and we'll finish that later off in the build. Same for Rend, you only put 1 point in at the start. So we've got Rend and Razor Focus in this version of it, and you can see you can put Razor Focus with the red mutagen to boost that. And what Razor Focus does is, with 1 point in it, every time you go into battle you get an adrenaline point, so that's quite useful. But the actual other abilities that are the ability I'm going to go with, and did use when I was doing this playthrough to make the videos, is Rage Management. Now Rage Management lets you use signs and cast them with adrenaline when you don't have any stamina, and that goes brilliantly with the Ursine armor, which obviously gives you a bonus to your adrenaline. So you build adrenaline much quicker, so you have more of it to use, and it offsets the low stamina regeneration. So I've got Rage Management in that slot for now. The other option that you can get is Metabolic Control, and you see here if you pick up Metabolic Control, that adds plus 30 to toxicity. Now that gives me 275, which would let you use the 3 decoctions, so Water Hag, Arachas and the Echidna Decoction, and still use multiple potions on top of it. So for now I've got all 3 skills, 1 point in Razor Focus and Metabolic Control, and 1 point for Rage Management, but it's Rage Management I'm actually using. And you can see here all of the fights from now on with the Arachas Decoction as well, in addition to the already powerful build we had, become very easy. So this is the Archgriffin, which is taken down as part of the Master Armourer's quest to unlock Joanna as a Master Armourer, and it takes me less than 40 seconds. Be careful when you do this that you have a save before you beat the Archgriffin, because you want the Archgriffin mutagen, and it doesn't always drop from this one, and if it doesn't you'd have to wait until beating one of the higher level Archgriffins later. So just watch out for that, because the Archgriffin Decoction can be useful.
What's its name? Scorpion? Beautiful animal. Eskel made camp here. Looks like he planned to stay outside a while.
And then we've got all of the combat skills as you've seen in the previous games. You get a lot of experience from doing the main missions now, so you'll fly through the levels pretty quickly, and you can see here I'm at Kaer Morhen and I'm already level 25 there, after progressing, doing Isle of Mists and getting to the next stage, which is going to be fighting the Wild Hunt. So the next ability slot is level 26, so we haven't got that quite yet, but the important benchmark for the level 25 is the fact that the Ursine gear can be upgraded at level 25 to the enhanced Ursine gear, and this is when it really starts to overtake the other sets. So whilst the regular Ursine gear has plus 20% monster resistance, just the same as the enhanced Griffin gear, the enhanced Ursine set that you're able to upgrade it to at level 25 has plus 30 monster resistance, and that's very high. And the other slashing and other damage resistances also start to creep up as well, and it just becomes overall the most effective defensive gear, especially when you pair it with rage management. So you can see there that I've got rage management in that level 22 slot, and that's what I'll be using. Now we've got quite a few points built up, so you could get tissue transmutation at this point, but with the enemies dealing so little damage, I really don't find it's necessary. I prefer to have heightened tolerance so I can carry on using the water hag decoction and be at full health even whilst I'm using the potions. Most fights would be a combination of using the superior Tawny Owl with the 3 decoctions and then using other potions on top of them as the toxicity declines. As you go through Kaer, make sure you pick up this place of power when you're with Lambert. Lambert, what a prick. And you'll be able to just pick up an extra ability point there. And at this point in the game I actually start saving the ability points. And there is a very definite reason for that, and we'll come on to that in the next video when we're covering with the actual Kaer fights against the Wild Hunt. So, we get to level 26 after doing Isle of Mists and doing the Brothers in Arms, getting all your allies gathered, and also doing a couple of the other side quests. So any contracts that are around level 22, 23, you want to get those done before you out level them. So you do a couple of side quests and then carry on with the main story, and that's what the next part of the next video is going to be covering. So here again, you can get Razor Focus and put it in that extra slot and put it with the Greater Red Mutagen there, or you can do what I actually chose to do in this build. And this particular part of it is to keep heightened tolerance for now and put metabolic control and rage management. Now the reason for that is Razor Focus, we're only putting 1 point in it, and what that does is it grants an adrenaline point every time we go into battle. But if you have the superior Maribor Forest potion, that does the same thing. Whenever you use it, it instantly grants you an adrenaline point if it's the superior version. So if you have metabolic control, those extra 30 toxicity points mean that you can always have superior Tawny Owl and also have rage management still equipped, so you can keep Quen up using your adrenaline. And then on top of that, you can also use superior Maribor even before you use the superior Thunderbolt, and that'll increase your adrenaline generation for the remainder of that fight. But it'll also give you an adrenaline point straight away, so it's essentially doing the same thing as Razor Focus, which is why I want to do that one first. You can always use Razor Focus instead of Metabolic Control, because pairing it with the Greater Red Mutagen will boost the damage of the Greater Red Mutagen, so there is that to consider as well. But either way, it's extremely effective. So to recap, now we've got the enhanced Ursine gear, we've got the enhanced Ursine swords, and we've also got rage management and metabolic control, and we've got the outline of the build there. So this is where you can see you could use tissue transmutation, but we've already got enough vitality for my liking because we take so little damage. So the next part of it is going to be, the next part of the walkthrough is going to be building up to the Kaer fights, which is the stage that I'm leaving it at here, and how we fight the Wild Hunt and Inlereth and a couple of other things like that, and how we progress the build after that. So I hope you're finding the walkthrough useful. Please like and subscribe if you are, and leave me any comments or any questions you want to ask, and I'll see you next time for the next part. Thank you.